Hello everyone, today it is Sunday again, and that means time for Anachronism. Today we will be reviewing the Egyptian Cleopatra VII. Cleopatra VII, you ask? But there was only one Cleopatra, right? No. As you can see here, it is written in Greek, and that's because Cleopatra was actually of Greek descent. She descended of one of the generals, from Alexander the Great, whom I will be reviewing next week. Yeah, she was the last queen, or pharaoh, or however you want to call it, monarch, to hold the throne of Egypt. After that, it was made into a province of the Roman Empire, and that was the end of that. All right, let's take a look at the card. We have a very silly grid, one in the top right and bottom left. All right. So she is a female warrior, Egyptian. 6 health, 3 speed, 8 experience, 1 strength. Exactly the same as last week's Blackbeard. All right. She has the ability Fd. Fd. Yeah, that's very... Okay. Fd. At the start of each round, if there is an opposing male warrior, you may move 1 space. Yeah, Cleopatra was known to be a seducer. She could wrap men around her finger and, yeah, just take them with them to their graves. Well, something like that. Alright, born into a crumbling Egypt, slowly losing ground to the expanding Roman Empire, Cleopatra used every tool at her disposal to maintain independence and return her nation to the glory that it once held. That is true. Egypt was a vassal state for the Roman Empire. They produced a lot of grain for them. Grain was scarce for the Romans. It was a world city. Rome had reached about a population of 1 million at the time, which was incredible. It was huge, obviously. The grain supplies in the neighborhood, they couldn't sustain Rome. So Egypt chipped in. The price, of course. But when the grain stopped flowing, Julius Caesar went in and came checking in on her. Or, well, the ruling pharaoh, which was her little brother at the time, to see what the hell was going on. And yeah, as you can guess, from this, it was a crumbling Egypt. It was, actually, they were in quarrel with each other, Cleopatra and her brother. They were to be wed to each other, and yeah, they were in a fight. And Caesar was like, hey, stop that, we need grain. Silly Egyptians. Right, next up. We have the inspiration, Ast. Yeah, she is a deity. I don't know much about Ast, besides how she looks, obviously, with the wings and the sun on her head. Okay, let's look at the abilities. Nifr. Yeah, the Egyptians have a silly attack names. All of the Egyptians have. I have seen other Egyptian cards and they all have silly names. 4 inspiration. 4 initiative, sorry. And opposing cards cannot discard your support cards. That is nice, if you play against a lot of discard. And the other ability, Chui. After you hit an opponent, you may discard this card to gain 1 life and deal 1 damage to the defending warrior. Cool. By tricking Ra, the great mother goddess Ast was able to gain his powers. She was a healer and the great magician of the gods. Aha, so that's it. Right, we have the weapon, an Egyptian knife. It looks like a kris, but it's called Bgzv. And it has a nice grid over here, but a minus on the side. It is 3 initiative and 1 strength. And its ability... Right. This weapon deals +2 damage while you are in a space directly or diagonally behind your opponent. You may have another weapon. Okay, that's nice. You can have another weapon with this one. That is cool. Easily concealed in the linen and silk robes of Cleopatra's time, the dagger was a deadly close-ranged weapon, capable of striking with very little warning. Yeah, that can be true. Ah, here we have them. One classic pair. Not as classic as Marcus Antonius and Cleopatra, but Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. The golden corselet. It is 7 inspiration. Is initiative. Again with the inspiration. It is an armor, a torso armor. It is the neck thingy, I believe. And yeah, no. Your defense rolls gain +3. If you are hit, discard this card. Okay, cool. Oh, nice. So a +3, and if they get through, then you just discard this card. But a +3, that's nice on your defense roll. After befriending Julius Caesar, Cleopatra was taken to Rome. She stayed at the house of Caesar and took an active part in the social politics of Rome until he was murdered on the steps of the Senate. Yeah, at the time of the murder of Caesar, she was in Rome. And she was pregnant. Or no, wait. Caesarion was already born? Ah, I mixed that up. I believe he was already born. Well, anyway, she was in Rome at the time. They had a golden statue of Cleopatra on the Forum, which was obviously quickly taken down after she fled back to Egypt. And she did, shortly after Caesar was murdered. And we have the Heka and Was scepters. It is 5 in initiative, and it is a one-hand item, but it needs 2. Oh, that's silly. And the ability, inked. Before you make an attack roll, you may discard this card. If you do, and the attack hits, the attack is a critical hit. Oh, that is cool. You can make it just a critical hit by that. Like that. Okay, scepters offered and represented power and protection. They also set the king apart from everyone else and conveyed his authority, both secular and religious. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't tell us how Cleopatra ended, the story of Cleopatra. Later on, she became the ruler of Egypt, and Mark Antony, Marcus Antonius as we call him, or the Latins called him, Romans, he went to Egypt for political reasons. He and Octavian were in quarrel. They split the realm in 3 pieces. Oh, sorry about that. Shouldn't do that anymore. Well, okay, so they split the realm in 3 pieces. The first part went to Octavian, who chose for himself the western part of the empire. Octavian was given, Mark Antony was given the eastern part, Greece, modern Turkey, Egypt, etc. And Lepidus, a bit of the third wheel, a bit of a, yeah, he was locked out of every thing. He was given the north of Africa, which didn't really meant anything. It was just symbolic. Quickly, Lepidus was disposed of. He wasn't killed or something. He just went into retirement or something. And Octavian and Mark Antony claimed the rest. So there were only 2 rulers, but they were in quarrel. The fight has been going on for quite a while. Actually, after the death of Caesar, began all with the inheritance for Octavian, because Mark Antony thought it was going to be his, but Julius Caesar said, no, I want everything to be given to Octavian. So Mark Antony fled to Egypt, started a life with Cleopatra. They had a couple of kids, and Marcus Antonius was branded as a traitor to the people of Rome, to the people and the Senate of Rome, because he was whoring around with a queen. And that was the worst kind of whoring around. Yeah, so they called her the witch that was manipulating a good Roman citizen. Now then, Octavian went to war with the both of them. It was a civil war, the Battle of Actium. Later on, he just went to shore, went to the palace. But by then, the lovers had killed themselves. Mark Antony killed himself, Cleopatra killed himself, supposedly with poison. Historians aren't clear about that yet, but they killed themselves. And that was the end of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. They went down as traitors. Octavian took power, claimed Egypt as a province of Rome, and it would never be ruled by a pharaoh or a king again. And that was the end of independent Egypt at the time. So, yeah. Oh yeah, funny fact. Do you remember the old Asterix and Obelix comics? Of course you do. Who doesn't? Oh my God, stay up. You had the old druid, Panoramix as we call him, who constantly mentions that nose, that beautiful nose of Cleopatra. Well, as a matter of fact, and they painted her here not too horrible either, as a matter of fact, coins of the time depict her as being an ugly kind of witch. Well, actually, very normal looking, bit of a hook nose she had. It could have been Roman propaganda, but then again, it could have been the truth. And that the druid Panoramix was doing it all ironically. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up like this. I've said enough about Cleopatra and the lot. Those traitors. Traitors. Speaking of traitors, let's talk about another traitor. Oh no, wait. I was going to do Alexander the Great. Well, alright. See you all next week. Bye.